Yo, what's going on, guys? Coach Vic here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about one of the best hitters in the universe, Cody Bellinger. We're going to talk about his stance, his stride, his load, and how he generates so much power. The inspiration for this video came from one of my Instagram followers who asked a question about Cody Bellinger's load and that he doesn't really have one and how he generates so much power, and if it's something that maybe young hitters, youth hitters should be implementing in their own swing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and as I do a little bit of a breakdown on Cody Bellinger's swing. Let's jump into it. So here's Cody Bellinger. Definitely starts with more of an upright stance, okay? And first off, let me clarify this. Between like a stance and your load, okay? Your load is what happens with your hands, for example, with your hands between your stance. So like right here, Cody Bellinger, this is his stance with his hands up here, shoulder slightly above shoulder height. And then when you go into the load, when your front foot heel lands and wherever your hands are at that point, now that is your load. Okay, so technically everybody has a load. They're just going to have different variables, different varieties of loads and styles from player to player. So first we're just going to focus, we're going to take from his stance where we have his hands more up here, and then we're going to up there, and we're going to take them down into foot strike and heel plant, right about there. Now you're going to see that is essentially his load. Okay, so Cody Bellinger, because he starts so upright, he does a really good job of getting into an athletic position by having somewhat of a controlled fall. So if you pick up his head, okay, clear that. So here's his head, where his head starts, okay, and then of course he is in more of a vertical stance, right? Upper body, everything's pretty upright. As he goes into the pitch, as he goes into his stride and his load, you'll see the bend at the hip, bend in the front knee, and how he, very under control, falls into, like a controlled fall, into his foot plant, which is going to generate some leverage and momentum with the start of his hands coming downward into the zone. You see here, bend, bend. Okay, the shoulder, front shoulder closed, chin on the shoulder. So big difference from where he started off in such an upright position. You see the lines dramatically change from straight, as he goes into, see the differences here. Now this is getting him into an athletic position. It's engaging his big muscles in his lower body, creating rotation, how his upper body stays back and his front foot starts to come forward, starts to open up slightly. Since for the topic of this video, we're talking primarily about his load. This is a load, okay? So from where his back shoulder is, this is separation right here. You see as his hips start to open up, his knee starts to kind of turn towards the pitcher, his upper body stays back and the hands stay back, with the bat staying up, with the knob pointing down towards the catcher's feet, towards the catcher's glove, with the cap of the bat facing towards center field or towards the pitcher. This is creating separation, and this is a load. Okay, so this is a very powerful position for him, and is a big contributor to his incredible power. So we'll start back from the top again. With this upright stance, again, he comes down, he brings the hands into that locked and loaded launch position. Like I said, he doesn't have a whole lot of movement, so I mean it can appear as though he doesn't have much of a load, but in fact he loads incredibly well, using his entire body to do so. So you see as the hands come into their slot with that knob pointing towards the catcher, and as he is dropping, again, he's dropping into that athletic position, controlled, very, very controlled, keeps the head steady. Though the head moves and comes down closer to the zone, and he has a slight bend over the plate, he is still very much in control with steady eyes. As that foot strikes, boom, he's coming from a very powerful position and also from generating that momentum coming down towards the ball, almost similar to like a golf swing, in fact, because golf, you're able to drive the ball so much farther, obviously because of the ball and the club, but big differences in the ball and the club, but that generating that swinging downward, or bringing that body, in this case he's not so much swinging down, there's a downward portion of the swing, but he is creating so much leverage coming down through the zone, and utilizing his hips so incredibly well. And that's one of the biggest things with Cody Bellinger, is how he's able to get away with it, because he's so athletic. He's 6'3", 6'4", so using gravity to come down into the zone with that hip hinge, and getting those hands back, and then rotating violently with that lower half. Here we'll take a look at a forward shot, center field cam, and here you'll really get to see the hip turn. And so there's his upright. He gets going pretty late too. You see the ball is almost out of the pitcher's hand here, and he's just getting moving. But when he moves, he goes very quickly and efficiently. That's why he's able to be so consistent as well. You see, as he goes from start, what you'll notice here, if you look at the lower half in relation to the upper half, so focus on this front shoulder and the chin, and how you can see his letters from this view, okay? And then pay attention to his back pocket as well. You're going to see his hips turn back towards or belt buckle, if you will, turns back towards the catcher. It's very subtle. It's a tough angle because we're slightly in left center with the camera angle, but you can start to see his left pocket starts to show. So that's a coil with his hips. His hips are coiling, as well as his shoulders coiling at the same time. Then as he goes towards his foot strike, you'll see the hips start to open up. But notice how the back stays visible. You can still see his number. In fact, you can see more of his number. You almost see the entire number, while his hips are starting to rotate forward. This is creating tremendous amount of torque so now the belt buckle is starting to become visible. You can still see one of his numbers in his back, and you can see his jersey being stretched out right here is showing how much separation he is creating with his lower half and the upper body. There we go into foot strike. Now you can see right here, you can see his belt buckle starting to turn towards the pitcher. His hips are starting to fire open. His back knee is starting to drive forward. Front side starting to open up, and the hips are really starting to fire. But notice his head, his chin right here is on his shoulder still. You can still see one of his numbers. So this is an incredibly powerful position. Imagine a crash test dummy. If you've ever seen when the cars test the airbags and the performance of a car in an accident, they have a dummy in the car, and they'll send off the car towards a brick wall at about 60 miles an hour. Okay, so the question is, how fast is the dummy inside the car moving? The dummy is moving 60 miles an hour, just like the car. Okay, when the car hits that solid brick wall or cement wall, the car goes from 0 to 60, and then from 60 to 0. The question: how fast is the crash test dummy going when the car is going 0? The crash test dummy is still going 60 miles an hour. And that crash test dummy is going to, if without a seatbelt, is going to fly through that windshield at 60 miles an hour. So if you think of your swing as similar as this car with the dummy inside, okay, your lower half is the car and your upper body is the crash test dummy. So by generating as much power, as much speed and velocity with your swing from the backside to the front, and then once that front car hitting that solid brick wall, And what happens is the upper body is going to come flying through at that same speed as the lower half. So the harder you can drive that bottom half, your lower half, your legs, your back, your hips towards that ball, and then planting with a firm front side, your upper body is going to come flying around at a tremendous speed and rate that is going to create tremendous bat speed and ultimately lead to more power. And that's what Cody Bellinger does here so well. As he strikes, boom, they continue to fire, but he's got a stiff, firm front side, and everything comes flying around like a rubber band or like that crash test dummy, and that bat is come flying through the zone. He also does a great job, I'm just talking about his follow-through, as he stays palm up, palm down all the way through, well, almost into the very end of his follow-through. There, he finally starts to roll his wrists over, which is pretty incredible, to be honest. Most people are rolling their wrists over way earlier, right around there. A lot of people roll their wrists over. So what this does, it helps keep palm up, palm down, helps him stay through the baseball, more level through the ball, or on plane with the ball, and that's what's going to help achieve lift and tremendous backspin, which is going to lead to more carry. Again, his head down all the way through with this tilt. This is crucial right here. Most players will stand upright, they start upright, and they stay upright through their swing. Cody Bellinger does not. He understands this. In order to stay through the ball, through the plane of the pitch, you must have this tilt. And you'll notice this tilt comes from his stance. As soon as he starts to move his front side, he starts to crouch down into that powerful position. Is what's going to give his body the most torque, the most efficiency in generating that power that we're talking about, that everybody's after. So the question is, should we as young athletes, should we be trying to mimic somebody like Cody Bellinger? I mean, I believe to an extent. Like, we definitely want to look ahead to those successful, to those of the best in the game, and learn as much as possible from them. There's a lot to be learned, but it's important to understand that Cody Bellinger's swing today in 2019 was an evolution over time. He developed this swing over time. He was already an incredible player, having to be able to get into professional baseball and then ultimately end up where he is now. Okay, so it's very tempting as young players to want to skip ahead, okay, to be 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 even years old and try and mimic some of the best in the game, okay? But it's important to understand that these are incredible athletes. The best in the game, especially when it comes to hitters and pitchers, and all baseball players for that matter, but hitting and pitching, swinging a bat and throwing a ball are incredibly athletic movements that require a ton of coordination and a ton of repetitions and time to master your swing, your craft as a hitter. So by skipping ahead, by being, like I said, 12, 14, 16, 18 years old, whatever you are, skipping ahead, you're missing out on all the learning process in the middle. Okay, I definitely think we need to adjust and adapt our swings to the type of player that we currently are. Cody Bellinger is one of the best power hitters in the game and will probably remain to be so for quite some time. Okay, if we are a young athlete and we're not a power hitter, it's important we understand it's important that we understand what type of hitter we are, and therefore not trying to get ahead of ourselves. Okay, because if you, let's say, are more of an average line drive gap hitter, and you want to hit more home runs, as most hitters do, but you implement advanced movements, advanced swing techniques that are being done by some of the best in the world, you may lose out on actual quality of the hits. You may lose out, you may lose batting average. And at the end of the day, it's important that you become the best hitter first. Okay, study these hitters, Watch what they do. Watch their habits. But remember, skipping ahead too far, too soon, can do more harm than good. Like I said, Cody Bellinger, 6'4", I don't know how much he weighs. He's probably a good 190, maybe to 200, 205. And he's a 24-year-old, 25-year-old man and professional athlete. So keeping that in mind, when we're 14, 15, 16 years old, we're not quite there yet. Train your body, become as explosive and as powerful as possible. Hit the weight room, hit the sprints, run hills, swing the sledgehammer, swing bats with a donut on them. Do everything you possibly can. Work your legs, work your core, work your back, work your entire body to be as athletic and as strong, as powerful as possible. And slowly piece together, who you are as a hitter. Because we don't want to be Cody Bellinger. We want to take what Cody Bellinger is doing and learn from him, so that we can become our own hitter. And it's important to understand that. Be your own hitter. Don't mimic. Don't copy, right? Because everybody is unique, and some things that work for Bellinger are not going to work for everyone else, right? What works for Cody Bellinger is what works for Cody Bellinger. And what works for you is going to be what works for you. So, like I said, take itty bits, bits and pieces of his swing, put it together to create your own. Maybe you'll take a little bit of Bellinger. Maybe you'll take a little bit of Turner. Maybe you'll take a little bit of, Puig. Maybe you'll take a little bit of Buster Posey. These guys take bits and pieces of the puzzle to put together your own puzzle. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think. If this was helpful in any way, if you'd like me to do more videos like this, please let me know in the comment section down below. All right, guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the section down below. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and be sure to ring that little notification bell to be notified of future uploads. Okay, guys, keep working hard, and I'll see you in the next video.